Hi, everybody. I'm just so excited that you guys are here and everybody who's going to be watching the recording. This is an 1111 portal, ancestral healing. So it's going to be an extremely powerful time to really connect with those that have come before you, that have, you're here because they survived. And, so many of them didn't survive. And so many of them carry so much stories and pain that they've passed down to you. And they don't do this to haunt you, and they don't do this out of hate, right? They do this because that's the way it works. It passes down until somebody comes as a generational breaker. Okay. And so we're going to discuss so many different things. I'm going to try to pack this into an hour so I don't have to take so much of your time. But this is a recording for you to come back. This is a class for you and a ceremony for you to come back to. And what's going to happen when you come back? You're going to consistently build a relationship with those that have come before you. And maybe tonight it is just barely breaking through. And then you come back in a week on your own timing and your own private time, and you'll notice that your ancestors really begin to show up for you. So if tonight you don't feel anything, or you don't feel like it, you don't feel more than what you're expecting, don't give up. Know that you can come back to this ceremony at any time, and you can even listen to it in the background. Okay. And especially the rituals that we're going to go into, these rituals were channeled through from my own spirit guides there on the land here in Sedona. And so you can take these rituals and you can create them for yourself, and you can do them for yourself, and begin to even do this consistently. Take some time out, maybe 2 days a month, where you literally set this 2 days for you and your ancestors, whether it's lighting a candle, maybe it's writing a letter to them. And this can be out of anger and rage as well. You can write these letters and they pass this down. And something that I like to say is, they pass down this trauma, they better help me with this trauma. That's what I like to say, right? Because if they passed it down, they better be here to help me, and they want to be here to help you. Okay. So I want to welcome everybody out who's here. And I just want to give this time first to anybody who wants to introduce themselves. You don't have to do this, but if you would like to, you can unmute yourself and you can just say your name and what you feel about the 1111 portal ancestral healing. It doesn't have to be 1111, right? It can be tomorrow or any day that makes you connect with your ancestors. So what is it that you're feeling today, and who are you? If you would like to introduce yourself, I'll open that up for you, okay?
Sure. Anil Kunjal. I'm calling in from New Jersey. Worked with Mandy in the past. I'm excited to be here. As soon as she put Remember Your Medicine, and I had a sound healing with her 2, 3 weeks ago in Sedona, and that came up. And as soon as she posted this, it just resonated with me because I really need to remember my medicine and start sharing that with the world. So um, I know something's going to come up tonight.
Thank you so much, Anil. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lori.
Hi, I'm Lori Wilson.
Oh,
Oh, my Lori.
oh, Lori, you go.
So Lori Caminetti invited me. I am in Oregon, originally from New Jersey, and I love Sedona. And I've been working on a lot this summer with healing my ancestral history for myself and my siblings.
Welcome, Lori.
And she just published a book.
Wow, powerful. I'm so
Yes.
glad you're here.
And it's on healing and holism and whole body care and mind, body, spirit. So, yes.
Yeah, you're meant to be here.
That's right. I'm Lori, too. And this is my son, Mark. And Mandy and I met over Facebook a year ago. and I was going to host her in my home, and her daughter, they were going to come down from Sedona, and something fell through. I don't remember exactly what happened, but it was meant for us to reconnect because just recently, September, she sent me a message and said, "Hey, do you still host?" I said, "Well, I've never hosted before, but yes, you and your daughter are welcome." And they came down and spent a night September 26th. And it's like this whole year I've known her. And then in that first hour that she was in my home, that I was meeting her in person, we just stood by the front door. I didn't even invite her in. Like, we stood by the front door and talked for an hour. Her daughter was kind of quiet and shy, so she went into the room, and Mandy and we could just spend hours talking. And then her and her daughter Alexi came last weekend, or the weekend before last weekend. And again, we just have this connection, and there's so much that I know that I'm going to learn from her. I'm just looking forward to it. So this is my first actual ceremony or class with her.
Oh. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Me too.
Hi, I'm Maria. I've met Mandy through another mutual friend. I'm in South Florida, and I actually started her mentorship. So I've done the healing. I've done a womb healing as well, and so this is awesome. I just, like, as soon as she said something about the portal, I was like, oh no, I gotta be there. I gotta figure it out. And I was like, ancestors, help me figure this out on how to do it, how to get here. So glad to be here. I'm glad to meet you all.
Welcome, Maria. I'm so glad you're here.
Okay.
I'm so glad you are here. Anybody else want to introduce themselves? I'm so thankful for all you guys.
I'm Mark. I'm Lori's son.
Hi, Mark.
Kind of like something that she suggested to me that she thought could help. So I said, okay, I'm down to try it out. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were all here. You are meant to be here. If you are here right now, if you are watching this, you are meant to watch this. You're meant to be here, because if you know, I first was for sure I wanted to do this, and then some things happened. I wasn't going to do it, and then it's happening. So I feel like the ancestors were like, no, this is meant to be. And so I'm going to share a lot of information. I'm going to try to make it not over an hour. Sometimes sometimes it goes over a little bit. If it goes over an hour and you got to go, I understand, but I'm so thankful for you to be in here. And I just know that the ancestors have a message for you. And so let's just jump right into it. I just want to start the ceremony by just taking a deep breath, maybe letting out that sigh of relief of like all the tension of the day, the stress, the worries, the struggles, the troubles, and just allowing your shoulders to just feel a little bit more relaxed, in your jaw a little bit more relaxed, maybe on and taking this time to know that in this moment and during this safe container, that we are all here joining together. Imagine us sitting around maybe a bonfire, sitting around a circle. And as we sit here together, we may not be at the exact same place, but we are here energetically, and our ancestors come forward and they surround us and they stand behind us. And these are ancestors that carry the rooted medicine, that carry medicine for you in this lifetime, that have the answers that you're looking for, that have a lot to say about what you're going through and dealing with, and what you're going to be using your medicine for in the future when you meet people that are going to listen to your story and know that you carry this embodiment that is going to be able to go forward, to help them go forward. And you're going to remember those times where you did not want to go forward. And you're going to remember those times where you felt like you couldn't go forward and you didn't think you would make it, because I've been there, right? Like, if you know my story, I don't want to share too much of my story because then I'll take up too much time. But, growing up in neglect and growing up being severely neglected. I was very socially awkward because I didn't really have anybody to talk to except myself. I spent most of my childhood years sitting behind a shed in my backyard alone. That's and now I've realized my ancestors showed me that they were actually there with me, so I wasn't alone. But at that time, I was alone, and then I ended up going into a religious cult, thinking that they would help me better myself. They said they would help. They would help you. They would get you to a better life, and instead, they manipulated me and controlled me for 17 and a half years. And in those 17 and a half years, I became a child bride. I gave birth to 2 children inside of that cult. And then in 2018, I escaped and I moved hours away. And thankfully, I had a sister who I had previously shunned and didn't want anything to do with her because she tried to wake me up and I didn't want to listen. But she was the one that took me in 2018. So if it wasn't for her, I don't know where I would have gone. I had nobody. And so I just know that in those moments where I thought about death consistently inside of that cult, and my children were the only thing that kept me alive, because I didn't want them to be motherless. And so now looking back and I think about all of those moments that felt so extreme, I actually have all of that medicine that I've extracted and I've given to so many people. And I've met so many that through my medicine, they've been able to know that they have hope to keep going forward. And so what happens is then you become medicine and you give that medicine over to others, right? And so then you realize that everything you've gone through isn't about you. It's about those that have come before you that didn't have the choice, right? They didn't have a choice. They may have passed without a choice. They passed in their pain, but deep down inside, did they want to pass in that pain? Probably not. They wanted something better, but they didn't have a choice. So thankfully, we have a choice. And so if you're here today, you're meant to be here. And so your ancestors surround us today in this ceremony, and they are here with us. And as we do these rituals that we're going to do here soon, you're going to be able to just get a taste of who they've always been, because there was a time when your ancestors existed and they were alive. And we're talking about those ones generations ago. We're talking about the ones that carried the medicine so naturally, right? This was before colonization. This was before other cultures and other, people came and stripped that. And so there will be rage and anger inside of our bodies because our ancestors, even though we weren't there when that happened, we experience our own pain in this lifetime. Your ancestors experienced the stripping of their natural gifts, their natural abilities. They were one with the earth, they were one with the moon, they were one with nature and animals. And then it was all stripped. And so that pain and that rage is inside of our bodies. That sadness, the sorrow, all of that still, it stays stuck in there. And so it's all validated, right? It's all, and so that's what I want tonight to be is a ceremony of validation, to know that your pain and their pain, it blends in. Okay. And the stories may be different, but the emotion is the same. The rage is the same. The sorrow, the grief, the loss, the heartbreak it's the same, right? Because emotions. So I'm an ancestral healer. I help you connect with your ancestors and bring healing so that you can have rooted medicine inside of your body. All right. We're not taking from other cultures. We're not, no, you're going in and finding, where did you come from? And you're receiving that medicine. And through that medicine, it will heal you. It will heal you. It will heal you. It will heal years of trauma that you cannot do yourself. You are not meant to heal yourself. You are not meant to do it alone. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Your ancestors are meant to help you. If the very people that you have come from and that have passed down so much of your pain and your stories, if they won't help you, who will? They're the ones you came from. You are here because they survived all of the pain and the violations and the stripping and the battles that we don't even know. And so we are here to reclaim that. We are here to say, okay, if this pain that I feel is not all of mine, then I demand help. I demand support. I demand my ancestors, who I have come from, my own blood, to help me, to free me, to set me free from stories that live inside of my body that are not my own and that are connected to so many of those that came before you. And they're here tonight. And today, no matter what time you're watching this, you are meant to reclaim your story and your truth. Okay. So let's start with the mother line. And why this is so important is because the mother carries a womb, right? That doesn't mean you have a relationship with your mother. It doesn't, you could have been adopted, right? You could have grown up in foster care. You had many caretakers. Your grandmother could have been your caretaker, but the biological mother that you were birthed from, you came from a womb. So that womb carries her stories, and the stories of every mother in her bloodline. And this is why it is very important. So her lineage, right, and her stories of the mothers before her live inside of her. So this was passed down to you while you were inside of the womb. And so even if we don't have a much of a connection with our earthly mother, that doesn't really matter. Or maybe you've had to distance yourself from your earthly mother for sanity and for health's sake. And so that's okay. Or maybe we've never met our natural biological mother because, like I said, you may have been adopted. And so, but the result is the womb is the portal to many stories that lived inside of her body. And you came forth from that. And you came forth from a womb, and then they came from a womb, and it all circles back to every generation that came from a womb. And this is the reason why the womb carries so much information and so much stories and pain and trauma, but it also carries medicine. Okay. So these stories will live inside of us. So the patterns of your mother line, from the mother line, it doesn't mean your own mother, right? Because we could have a great mother, but the mother maybe before her or her great grandmother maybe wasn't as healthy. And so those patterns will pass down and they will continue as the father line as well. But that's a whole different ceremony. So we're going to stay with the mother line on this one. But I'm just reading my notes. We're going to focus on the mother line, but we came from a womb. And so that's the potent reason why we're affected by the mother line. Okay. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about that, because this next ritual that we're going to do, we're going to bring it's almost like a validation to the mother line. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean, your own mother. It could be generations ago, mothers, which would be grandmothers of, 100 years ago. And so what happens is if there was turmoil, right, in the mother line, if there was some kind of disconnection, right, if there was a grandmother or a mother in the mother line that hated their daughter or hated their son or regretted their son or regretted their daughter or hated them or resented them or gave them away for adoption out of like spite. Like, for example, her mother, my real grandmother, gave her away just because she wasn't a boy and because she looked like her father. So she was given away. So any disconnection is going to stretch, right? So like grabbing something like clay or stretching it, all of that is going to go into the next line. So those cycles and patterns would go into the next and the next and the next until somebody becomes aware of it. Okay. And so in the awareness is where it gets heavy. If you are aware of anything, that you feel it in your body, in your bones, and you can feel this awareness of like something is not right. Something is not right. That means there was this stretch into your lineage and into your body that you don't know what it is, but you know it's something. And that shows that you are a generational cycle breaker. You are somebody that's meant to be here to not only be aware of it, but to break it. And that is deep reverence. And that can be overwhelming. That can bring you into a mental spin if you're like, wait, what? Like, I'm the one? No, I don't want to do that. Like, that's too much, right? And I've been there. I remember times where the beginning of my journey, I knew when I found out I was going to be this generational breaker, I found myself like in a ball on the floor, crying, shouting, I don't want to do this. No, I refuse. No, this is too hard. I don't want to do this. And thankfully I didn't, right? Thankfully I'm here sharing my medicine. But you're going to go through those times as a generational cycle breaker. You're going to have to realize if I'm this aware of what's going on, then I must be the one. I must be the one to I'm the one to break this in my bloodline. It's me. And when you can understand that and embody that and just set and take some time because it's not quick. Take some time to be like, damn, it's me. It's me. And you have to like integrate that because that's tough. And when you can sit with that, you begin to accept that, you begin to roll up your sleeves and you say, let's go. Let's do this. Because if I'm the one to break it, then let me tell you something, your ancestors bow down to you. They bow down to you because you are the one. If you are the one, they bow down to you. And at the beginning of my journey, I remember taking a shower one night and I went into a vision and I tripped out. In this vision, I seen my ancestors standing around me in like a bonfire and the fire was going up. And then my real mom, who is still alive, was there as well. And then they all went down and bowed down to me. And I was like, wait, what? But I knew it was like bowing down as reverence. And to this day, just the other day, I think it was yesterday, I was just thinking about that. I was like, oh my gosh, I get it now. I get it. They were literally reverencing the fact that I was the generational breaker. They're like, she's the one. She is the one. She's coming to heal and to release and no longer carry all these stories in her body because I carried so much. I was so fed up of carrying everybody's shit, right? Like I'm carrying all of it, but you can heal it. And if it wasn't for me embodying that and accepting that, I probably wouldn't be here right now. So let's go into the first ritual. The first ritual is you're going to grab a piece of paper. So if you have a piece of paper with you and a pen or a pencil, just put that out in front of you. And you're going to draw an outline on this piece of paper. And it can be anything, right? I'm not a good artist, but you're going to draw an outline. Or maybe you can draw a bird or a stick figure. It really doesn't matter. But this outline is going to be a representation of your human mother or of like the mother line. So it could be like from mothers of like generations ago. It's going to represent the womb. So it's going to represent the portal and it's going to represent the mother line. Okay. You can draw something dark. You can draw a spider, a rose. You can just draw a line. It doesn't really matter. You're just going to be, this is going to be the representation and you want to see this in front of you. You want to look at it and you want to ponder that this is the representation. You can even draw like a, what is that? Like a squiggly line over and over and over and over again. Like it's just continues and continues and continues. You can draw an X, whatever it is that you want, because this is going to be a representation. The point is that you want to look down at it and you want to look at it and you want to ponder for a second that this line or this drawing, this outline that you've drawn, this is a representation of the human mothers that you've come from. And then when you're ready, you're going to place your hand on top of whatever you drew. So whatever it is that you drew, the representation, you're going to put your hand on top of this drawing, right? With your palm. Or you can make a fist, whatever it is that you feel called to do, fist or a palm. And some of you, you know, when you do this ritual again, you will be drawn to maybe go deeper or do things a little differently. That's why I recommend you coming back and rewatching this, because you'll go deeper into the ritual and the process, especially when you're alone. You may find yourself wanting to crumble the paper. Like if you place your palm on the paper and you like crumble it. Some of you may want to like roll it in a ball. Some of you may want to like continue drawing, like just squiggly, like just all over it. All of that is okay. Okay. Everybody is different. And so what you're going to do once you're done with all of that is you're going to place your hand on that outline. And then I want you to close your eyes and I want you to repeat what I'm about to say. And you can say this in your mind. You can say this out loud. You can just, okay, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. And this is the representation of all the human mothers that you have come from and the womb. And you're placing your hand on this. And this is what you're saying. You're repeating, mother, all human mothers from my bloodline. So mother, all human mothers of my bloodline. I have been affected by your stories and the stories of all the mothers from my bloodline. I choose to not carry your stories of pain no longer. I choose to be my authentic self. I validate your pain. But I choose to accept that I am here for my truth. I know the healing I do in this lifetime will be felt in all those that have come before me as well. I ask that the ancestors that carried wounds before me guide me to healing so I do not carry their stories inside of me or live through me any longer. And then just take a deep breath and sit here for a little bit to allow this to be integrated into the body and into the energy. And this is a very powerful ancestral prayer. And so just sit there with this for a little bit and just, and I'm going to copy that prayer and send it to everybody here so that you can have it with you if you ever want to do this ritual again and say it. And so it's really powerful. And so the next thing I want to talk about very quickly is the next thing the ancestors showed me, and that I just recently was channeled through and learned, is that our ancestors make amends through us. Now, this can be good, and this can also be like overwhelming, because when they make amends through us, when they pass, when you become spirit, when you go back to being a spirit, you now realize like maybe everything you could have done better. And so when somebody comes from you, they want to live through you. They want to somehow make amends and apologize. But of course, they're not here anymore. So can these ancestors who were a part of the problem make amends after they've passed away, even generations ago? And the answer is yes. And that's something that I didn't really focus on. And so when someone in our bloodline passes, they, like I said, they go back to being spirit. And so we, as the living ancestor, we can extract from them. We can learn, we can pull in their wisdom. We can receive medicine from them through ancestral healing. So that's basically what ancestral healing is, right? You are not only extracting the wisdom from them, but you're also validating that, like, I don't want your patterns and your habits and your cycles and your mindsets to pass down to me, which they have, right? So when we start healing, that's when we become aware of the patterns. And so what happens is they realize that in the spirit. In the spirit, they're looking and they're like, oh damn, like it's in them now. Right? It's in my granddaughter, or it's in my grandson, or it's in my daughter. It's in, even if it was like 100 years ago, they still call you granddaughter and still call you late grandson, because that's just the way they see you. But even though it was like generations ago. And so what they see that, and they're like, oh my gosh, like they see you maybe making a choice or making a decision the same way that comes from their mindset and comes from their trauma. And it grieves them. It makes them really sad, because they know that that's not really your authentic self. That came from generations of trauma, generations of historic trauma that maybe, like, it doesn't mean it was their fault. It could have been something that was done to them, and then that mindset was created. So it doesn't mean that they were bad or evil. It was that the mindsets were created from the trauma that they experienced, and then that was passed down through our genes and through our DNA and through our epigenetics. And so you are able to now break that, right? But before you can break it, you got to be aware of it. And that's the hard part, because when you become aware of it, it's overwhelming. But they do want to make amends through you. Okay. And because they are spirit, they can now help guide you to the root. This is very important. They can lead you to the root. They can guide you to the root of what led them to create that mindset that was passed down to you now, right? And you're struggling to figure it out. They know, because that's where it started. It started with them. So yes, they can guide you to that rooted medicine. They can guide you to the root of the issue, the root of the problem, the root of whatever it is you're dealing with, right? What influenced them? What influenced them to make a decision to harm, or to be a perpetrator, or to cause acts of violence? Where did it all begin? And allow them to show you. Okay? Mindsets to them that felt normal. Why did they feel normal to them? Right? And it doesn't matter what like culture or like where you came from, because every one of us have ancestors, right? Ancestors that were ripped apart, and horrendous acts were done to them, right? And then there are those that come maybe from ancestors that did the horrendous acts, right? Like, and so this you can learn from both ways. So those that are learning, right? Like learning how can I heal these stories that my ancestors felt, and they were, things were done to them that were so horrendous, and their pain and their grief is inside of me, right? I feel things so deeply. How can I feel people's pain so deeply, right? And then those that have mindsets of harm that we may not know that they're harmful, right? Because they seem so normal, right? Or it could be just judgmental views about people. And even in that, right? So learning from your ancestors, and they want to make amends through that. And what happens though is sometimes is when they make amends, it feels horrible in our bodies because we're having to deal with like the the consequences, like we're dealing with the things that they tried, maybe some of them tried to stop and then they couldn't, and then it came to us, and now our bodies are overwhelmed. They're overstimulated and they're going through so much. And so take some time to hold your body and show your body lots of compassion, because your body is carrying so much. And so even in that, holding your body and giving your body permission to feel everything it needs to feel, right? And instead of numbing it, because if you numb it, that's what your ancestors done. And they understand why you would do that, why you would numb, because they don't want to feel it neither. But now they're in spirit and they're looking at you, and it grieves them that you have to feel it all, and then you numb it, and they understand that. But the only way you'll be able to break it, right? The only way you'll be able to break it is if you feel it, and to feel it, because they weren't allowed to feel it, right? Some of them came from cultures where, like, let's say boys they were not supposed to cry, right? They were supposed to be tough. And now here you are, and you're wanting to let this out, but you're like, no, like, I got to be strong. I can't do that, right? And so, and it goes both ways. And so now allowing it to come through the body and sitting with it, sit with your emotions. What is it trying to tell you? Because that could be the voice of your ancestor trying to make amends. They're trying to say sorry to you. They're trying, like, you're going through this because of me. And I feel terrible. I didn't realize that's how much it impacted me. And now I'm in spirit, right? This is like what your ancestors saying. I'm in spirit, and now I'm watching you having to go through this, and it hurts. It hurts because I'm just in spirit. You don't even see me, or maybe you don't even think I exist. And I'm over here having to watch you have to go through the things that I did, or even worse, or whatever. And they want to help you. They're begging. They're begging. Let me help you, because a lot of that's my fault. We passed it down. And it's not that it was their fault, but it kept passing down. So they just yearn to get it right. And here's the scary part is, like, let's say we go, I can't do it. And you just continue to numb it, and you just continue to just cover your eyes and hope it goes away. It's not. It's going to go into the next and the next. And then you're going to go into spirit one day when you pass, and you're going to look at whoever is being affected because of your choices or because of your decisions that you couldn't, or you didn't break. And then it's going to hurt you, right? And like, you don't want that. If you are here, you're 98% chance, if you're watching this in full, you are a generational breaker. And you may say, if I'm a generational breaker, why does it fucking hurt? Okay, let's just be honest. Why can't I get it right? All right, I'm supposed to be a generational breaker? I don't think so. But that's the beginning process, is you're going to feel everything. And when you say, okay, if I'm this generational breaker, You got to help me. That's why connecting with your ancestors is at the pinnacle of what is necessary and important and needs to be done. You can try everything else, but if you do not connect to the pinnacle of what is the most necessary step, it's going to keep flopping over and over and over. The pain is just going to recycle and recycle and recycle in a circle. When you can connect with the root through your ancestors, because they are the root. They are the root. If you can connect with the root, then when the pain, it doesn't mean the pain goes away. It means when the pain comes up, it can now release. It can now, instead of doing this in a circle, it now can go and flow out of the body because it now understands it doesn't belong in your body. You are not the root of it. So it is not going to stay in you. And when you have ancestors backing you up that are making amends through you, they will help take it. They will help settle it. When you're in the process of the pain, right? Because it doesn't just go away. When you come back to that process, they will be there. They will be there to guide you, to help you through ritual, through ceremony, through people you'll meet, through support, there's so many ways. And that is the steps. Those are the steps. But if you have your ancestors, you are one huge, massive step closer to breaking what needs to be broken in that lineage, right? And there's a quote from a book that I'm reading that says, ancestors gain greater spiritual perspective and insight in the afterlife. And I know sometimes that sucks because it's like, well, my parents fucked me up in this lifetime and now they're in spirit and now they want to say sorry. I don't think so. And so that's a whole different story, right? But we're talking about they weren't the root. Even your parents weren't the root. The root goes back generations. And that is what I do. I connect with the root, right? Because, a lot of people like, oh, my grandma passed away last week. I want to talk to her. And it's like, I don't do that. I go into the root because the root is where it's at. And so if you can get to that root through your ancestors, that's how you're going to get through the root because you weren't alive then. How are you supposed to know the root? They know the root. So channeling in, connecting with them and asking them, okay, I'm ready. Give me that information. Let's do this. Let's go. Okay. And taking it step by step and knowing that the pain is going to come, but it's not going to be recycling any longer like this. It's now going to flow. And depending on how much there is, it's going to take some time, right? So I did a reading once for a woman and I didn't know this woman. And the very first thing that came through was her mom had died 10 years prior. And her mother told her 2 words, I'm sorry. And I didn't know that her mom wasn't alive or that her mom had passed 10 years ago. I just said, oh, your mother is here. And she said, I'm sorry. And she's like, I've been waiting 10 years for that apology. And our ancestors don't just want to tell us sorry, right? They want to guide us to true healing because there are some patterns and mindsets that we deal with that we've tried to control, we've tried to heal, we try to improve, and it ain't working. But if these mindsets didn't come from you, you can't heal them. That's hard. If these mindsets didn't come from you, you can't really heal them. You need them. Who's them? Your ancestors from generations ago. Okay? And one way that ancestors try to make amends is through addictions. And this is something that the spirit guides and the land channel through me. And before I get to the last ritual and then we end here, I just wanted to share this. So, and I know this sounds counterproductive, but this was channeled through. So the addictions are the product, okay? Whatever it is that you deal with, right? Whatever it is that you deal with. That is the product. It can even be control, right? Somebody, a cult leader, right? I was in a cult. And this cult leader, his addiction was control these people, and he fed off of that. Manipulate them, and he fed off that. He loved it. He got drunk on that. That was just his everything. And so whatever it is that gets you there, this can be a way that your ancestors are actually trying to make amends, because they know that the product, which I'm going to use that word instead of addiction, because that word has been overused. So the product is the way the ancestors make amends sometimes. And that can be kind of like, what? So the product is the overwhelming force of so many ancestors trying to make amends. They're screaming and begging, get me out of this body. Get me out of here. Stop the pain. Just stop it, right? Whatever pain that they dealt with, because their pain doesn't mean it's the same as yours, right? You could even have grandfathers that were violated, sexually, physically, by their fathers. And these are things that stay in the body. And so the product becomes them screaming out for healing in their body, because they remember what it felt like, and they don't want nobody else to go through that. And so they don't know what else to do. Their spirit, right? They can't just show up one day on TV and say, hey, this is my message, right? And you can channel them. People can channel them, like I do, but the best way for them to do it is make amends through the body that carries the next of kin. So whoever's the next generational breaker, they're going to try to get through there. And it doesn't mean that everyone gets it right? Like this product passes down to this body. This product passes down to this body. Whatever it is their addiction is, that product passes down. Until it reaches somebody's body who's like, enough is enough. I can do this. Okay. And so this is something that is very intense, and you might need to like ponder on this for a little bit, because it may not make a lot of sense, but this was something that was channeled through. And so, and also sometimes, of course, other factors are involved, such as ancestral curses on the bloodline. And this word, again, lack of better word, I don't like this word either, but an ancestral curse is when somebody in the generational lineage basically made like a verbal contract for some reason. And this can be something simple, or it can be big. I worked with a client who had an ancestral curse on her bloodline because a great grandmother had placed a curse on her daughter. She didn't even know it was a curse. She did not know it was a curse. She thought it was going to help her daughter. So when I went into the ancestral healing and we broke the curse, her great grandmother came through and and spoke through me and said, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know it was a curse. And she felt terrible. And my client was pissed off. Like, she was like, I don't accept your apology. Like, you ruined my life. You ruined the life of, whoever. And it was like, and she was really upset. And so it takes time, because they will put these verbal contracts, aka curse, on the bloodline, right? Without really realizing it. So it doesn't mean like they were trying to be vicious, but it still turns into a mess. So the ancestors, they want to take you deeper. Okay. They want to transform the stories out of your body. And so anyway, so just know that the product is what's working through is the ancestors trying to get through. So the human isn't the product. Okay. So the human isn't what's actually being like, what's being created from that product, and what it's not the human, right? Like the authentic human, your spirit is up here detached from the human. your spirit, again, like I spoke on other ceremonies, your human and your spirit version of you, it's like they're two different parts of you. Your spirit has never experienced the trauma and the pain that you have gone through in this life, but the human part of you has. And so everything you go through as a human, your choices will be out of that pain and trauma, but your spirit is there to guide you back into your authentic self. And so that prayer that we said at the beginning, that prayer is your truth, your authenticity, instead of having to carry the stories of all of these before you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions before we go into the ritual? Because I know it's probably a little confusing, but if you have questions, you can. If not, I'll just move along to the ritual. It's going to be the water ritual. And during one-on-one ancestral healings, that's basically what happens is your ancestors will guide you into your body to release whatever is there, whether it's like curses in the bloodline, whether it's like parasites, which parasites are just an embodiment of the curse or of the product, that kind of leads and guides you into making decisions that you really don't want to make, but you can't stop yourself. And so it's not even you. And so you blame yourself, but it's not even you. It's going to be that the parasite, which is some people like to call them like my demons, but I don't like to call it that. I say parasites because this is the parasite is what it is, the like the product is the leader of that product, right? And I'm saying product, but again, I mean addictions. And so it's leading the human into the addictions, but it's not even them. So it's not even you, and you're blaming yourself, and it's not you. It's actually the parasite. And so in the one-on-one ancestral healings, if there's something like that in the lineage, we'll be guided into that. We can remove the parasite. We can find out what the parasite is. We can find out what the curse was, that if there was a curse that led the parasite to be created, because the parasite has to be allowed. So that means somewhere in the bloodline, it was allowed. So we're going to find out who allowed it. We're going to bring them in. We're going to channel them in. We're going to bring them up. We're going to see what they have to say, why. And then we're going to remove the parasite. And when you can remove the parasite, you no longer have anything leading you to make decisions you don't want, if that makes sense, especially with the product, with the addictions. Okay. With things like that, right? Because I mean, we all do things we don't want to do, right? Like I'm not talking about like things, I'm talking about like the big addiction things that are like creating chaos in your mind and in your life. Okay. So I know that's a lot. I'm sorry. I'm just wanting to touch base on that. Let's get into this last ritual before we end the ceremony. Thank you so much does anybody have questions? No? Okay. Did anybody have anything to say? I'm like trying to find my tea so I could take a drink. Was that too much? Was it like, I swear the ancestors spoke all this to me, and I was like, literally like my jaw dropped. I was like, are you serious?
It's definitely a lot. You know, it's a lot to take in and process. But it all made sense to me.
Mm.
It makes sense because I think we've all done things we didn't want to do and don't know why we did it in hindsight. Destructive things to ourselves, to people, you know, to our loved ones. So it makes sense.
Yes. So we'll just get into the next ritual. I'm glad it makes a lot of sense to me now too. Just at first I was like, this is a lot, like it's so insane. But I do recommend reading a book. I just got this book from my Healing Ancestral Karma. Healing Ancestral Karma, Free Yourself from Unhealthy Family Patterns by Dr. Stephen Farmer. This book was literally like, you need to take me home and read it. And I was like, nah, I don't need to know more about ancestral healing. Like, I'm good. Like, I got it. And that book was like, so I took it. So I got it. I bought it. And then went to go read it on the mountain. And literally it talked about how your ancestors want to make amends through you. And as soon as I read that, it was like, my ancestors were like, that's what you're going to share. That's what you're going to teach. And I was like, wow. So it makes sense, but it doesn't make it okay, right? Like, it's just a whole ball of confusion whenever you realize that, like, you're saying that I have to heal their pain. I can't even heal my pain, but it's because your pain is like 95% connected to their pain. Because imagine there's somebody in your lineage from generations ago, they didn't have this pain. They were in, right? Like, I think about my ancestors, they were in ceremony all the time and in ritual, and they connected with the moon, and they had compassion, and the shaman and the medicine man and the medicine woman, they helped bring healing, and it was beautiful. So then you just find out where that disconnection is. And that's what ancestral healing does. So when you do, when you go one-on-one with me, that's basically what we do. And that's why it's so powerful. Okay, so now you want to get your bowl of water. So if you have a bowl of water, you're going to use just a bowl of water. And then we're going to say like 2 or 3 different statements 3 times while you use that bowl of water to, you're going to pour water. You're going to dip your hands in the water and you're going to pour it over your hands. So you're going to dip your hands in the water and then pour the water over your other hand and vice versa. Does that make sense? This is what they channeled through. It's because water holds memory, especially if you have like really good water. If you want to get really deep, get really good water, like spring water or like mountain water, or like overnight, get some water in a bowl and then get a piece of paper and write, and then tape that piece of paper or a sticky note to your bowl that says like ancestral wisdom, my ancestral medicine, something like that, and then leave it overnight. And in the morning when you wake up, do this ritual. And so that water has held on to those words. If you know that research about that scientist who he spoke words over the water, and the water literally changed and crystallized into the exact word that he said. So if he said like hatred and hate and I hate you, then he got like the microscope or whatever, and like the crystals were all like deformed and ugly. And then whenever he spoke love and compassion and I love you to the water, he looked it under the microscope and the crystals were all beautiful. And so water holds memory, and water remembers who you were before the trauma. The water knows. That's why when you go to the ocean, you may feel better. Put your feet in a spring or a river and you feel lighter. So we're going to use this water ritual. This is very powerful. So you're going to do this 3 times. You're going to dip your hands in the water and pour, right? Or sprinkle onto your hands as you say this. Okay, we're going to do this together. So as you dip your hands in the water, take a deep breath. Put your hands into your water bowl and begin to just pour water over your hands. You could close your eyes, whatever. And as you do this 3 times, I want you to repeat this. As you do this, I return to my remembrance and truth of being. So we're going to say it 2 more times. I return to my remembrance and truth of being. One more time. I return to my remembrance and truth of being. And then just take that in. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Release it. And your hands are a little wet still. They're placed outside, like they're above the water. And then we're going to do it again 3 times, but this time we're going to say something else. Ready? Take a deep breath. Dip your hands into the water. Start pouring over your hands back and forth and repeat, what is not mine to carry or hold, I give it over to this water. What is not meant to carry or hold, what is not mine to carry or hold, I give it over to this water. What is not mine to carry or hold, I give it over to this water. And then 3 more times, I want you to say, may it be alchemized into this water. May it be alchemized into this water. May it be alchemized into this water. And then take a deep breath. Breathe in, hold it, release it. And we're going to say one more statement 3 times. Put your hands back into the water and begin to dip both, back and forth again and say 3 times. I return to my rooted ancestral medicine. I return to my rooted ancestral medicine. I return to my rooted ancestral medicine. And then take a deep breath or breathe in, hold it, then release it. And just, you can dry your hands. You can just let them dry themselves if you want. It's totally up to you. And with this bowl of water, there's many things you can do with it. You can pour it, in your backyard, on a tree, if you have a tree in your backyard, or if you have a garden, or if you have a plant inside your house, you can use this water to water to water one of your plants. If whatever it is that you feel that you want to do, you could buy some flowers tomorrow and use this water if it's enough water, or add water to put it in a vase and put your flowers in. So there's so many cool things you can do with this water, because this water, you've just said these invocations over this water. So congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I know it may not feel like a big deal, but it really is. It's energetically an invocation. It's a ritual ceremony. And I'm pretty sure all of our ancestors from generations ago had many rituals and ceremonies that they did. And so you just connected with your ancestors through this, and they're really proud of you and they're really excited. And so I'm going to go ahead. I have more in my notes, but I'm just going to go ahead and just end it, because I don't want to take up more of your time. But I do want to say that your path is meant to be a medicine for yourself and for others. And you will be an embodiment of your truth and healing. And so it is. And these are just simple rituals, but they're gentle steps that you've taken to show yourself and your ancestors that you will not continue to be a vessel for their pain. And if anybody would like to share anything, feel free to share anything. And I do want to. Does anybody want to share anything before I'm going to do like a 1 to 2 minute channel from your ancestors and see if anything comes through? if anybody wants that. If you don't, you do not have to stay.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Yes, very beautiful. And it definitely was a lot, but totally makes sense. It makes, like, while you were talking, like I was having these memories of like when I was, younger, and it made everything you were saying. It's like, okay, that's why this happened, or why it happened. So I understood everything, and I'm just glad to have been here and to be part of this.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Especially the part of the anger coming up, because there have been times in my life where anger just comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, why am I getting angry? And I never understood why, but now that makes sense.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like especially for probably for like men, right? Like yeah, like anger just is something that I don't know. I'm not a man, but I just feel like I've seen like so many men that deal with so much anger, and I just know that like I had an ex-boyfriend who like when his anger would get out of control, like his eyes would change, and it was almost like he became the embodiment of all those ancestors that were before him that felt anger and rage.
Yeah.
As Mandy and Lori know, I have issues with my mom. And just through this ceremony tonight, it made me consider that it's not all her, and that she's not like purposely doing what she does to me. That it could very well be something passed to her that she unknowingly passed to me, or continues to pass to me. I guess I just feel a little bit of compassion for her tonight that I usually don't.
Mm. Yes. Yeah, so I just want to bring a closing to this ceremony. Thank you all for everything you shared. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mark, for letting your mom bring like suggest this and you being here. It's um, really good to meet you, and it was really good that in ceremony, there's something big about that is when we come together. So that makes it very special. And I'll be sending an email out to you tomorrow so you know about some of the things that might come up after the ceremony. There's different things for everybody. Sometimes it is anger, sometimes it's like a lot of purging and detoxing. And so just reach out to me for support. And yeah, I just want to end this ceremony. I want to thank all the ancestors that came forward, and allowing these ancestors that have come forward, if you are wanting them to continue to guide you and help you, or maybe just to show you the root of the problem, so that you can be stabilized as a generational cycle breaker, then say I'm ready. And tonight when you go to bed, and just really speak that out to them. And yeah,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Me too.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Ready.
Definitely ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good to meet you too. Thank you.
yeah, of course. And yeah, just thanking the ancestors, and thank you all for being here. And before I like end it, Anil, is there anything you would like to share about your ancestral healing that you did with me? That any kind of information?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. There was so much that came up on kind of my purpose. And, I've always had this knowing that I'm going to do something with healing, and it's going to be my own modality. It's going to be my own thing. And Mandy even said medicine man when that came in, modern medicine man. And it really just validated for me that that's my purpose, right? That I'm going to find this medicine, this ancient healing that I've known about. And I just got to remember it. And then I can bring it to the masses. And then the other thing that really came up was, helping other men. There's not a lot of men in this space. And even when I started my journey, it was all about goddesses, and I'd get into these groups and I'd be like, I'm the only guy in here. Should I even talk? Like, should I even ask a question? So, and building this now, I'm working on building this container just for men so that men can have a safe space. So it was amazing. And we definitely need to do a follow-up on that. So
Thank you.
I recommend it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
recommend Anil, if Mark wants to get connected with you, because
absolutely.
I love the fact that you're building something like that for men. That's perfect, because I've met you, I've worked with you, and you're a safe person. So thank you. Thank you for being a safe divine masculine for divine feminines like us, who we can have a hard time with that. So thank you for being a picture of safety for us. Thank you so much, Anil.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Have a good night, and allow yourself to rest and sleep, and have a beautiful night. And tomorrow, enjoy your new ancestral connection that I know is coming, and you can connect with your ancestors more even by simply asking for a simple sign. So even if it's a feather or a coin or a color or a song on the radio, I've done it before when I first started, and I was blown away. So thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Meet you all.
Good night.